What's up guys, welcome back to another video. So today we're talking about losing weight without counting calories. Now just a quick note, no matter whether you are maintaining at the moment or looking to gain weight, you can use these same principles and systems that I'm trying to create for you guys and sort of manipulate it in a way to manage your own goals. But just for the sake of this video, I'm going to be focusing on how people can lose weight without counting calories. So there's a few approaches you can adopt when it comes to trying to reach your goals. You can think of this video as being sort of budgeting without actually budgeting, and if you were to actually count calories, it would be as if you are actually budgeting, because you'll be physically writing everything down that you eat. So before we move on to how we can create these systems to get better habits, I just want to give you guys a quick refresher of what we should expect and what we should focus on when we're trying to lose weight. Remember, we need to be in a caloric deficit, which means that no matter what we eat, the calories have to be less than what our body requires. So it's not necessarily about the quantity of food, it's about the amount of calories you are consuming. So when I hear a lot of people saying that, oh, I only eat this much food, it's healthy. To be honest, when it comes to your weight, it doesn't matter how healthy your food is or how much you eat in quantity, whether you're still staying hungry throughout the day. If those calories that you eat are more than what your body needs, you're going to continue to gain weight. So what are these behaviors that we can start implementing into our lifestyle? First and foremost, I recommend you guys to start reading food labels. The goal is to make this process similar to as if you are buying clothes. For example, when you go and look for clothes, you'll enter a shop and you'll start browsing for something you like. When you find something you like, you'll start looking at things like costs, the size, maybe even materials. So I want you to take the same approach to whenever you decide or consider picking up something to eat. So when you pick up something, you'll be looking at stuff like the ingredients, or the calories, or what the macronutrient availability is of that thing that you are eating, which are things like vitamins and minerals. And when it comes to macronutrients and calories, you'll be looking for things like how much carbs does this particular item have, how much fat does it have, is the protein high. Everything that you think is unimportant will become important later on. Sometimes you think you don't care about these things until you start progressing to a level where you start getting results and you want to improve more and more, and that's when you realize and you start remembering the foods which contained how many calories or what the macronutrient ratios were, and it sort of becomes automatic. Another thing that I love about this is that as soon as you read a food packaging label, you're automatically accountable. So what I mean by this is, let's say you picked up something from a shelf and you looked at its calorie content. You have then and there already made a decision on whether it's going to be good or bad for you, whether you're going to account for it or whether you're going to let it be a one-off. And if it's not the best option, you've decided whether it's going to be there as a substitute for something that could have been healthy, but at the same time this could have been something that's just a one-off. So it might be in addition, but at least you know that you had something or a day that you had slightly higher calories than you would have wanted to. But the point here is that at least you know what you've done. So if in the long term you're not getting the results you want, you can track back to the decisions you made. You know where you went wrong. You know the days you might have gone just a little overboard than you should have. But this is the whole point. It allows you to hold yourself accountable. It allows you to make the mistake, but it also allows you to correct it in the future, and you can accept it and move on. It doesn't give you any regrets. My second tip is to volumize your food, if that's even a word, but basically increase the volume of food you can eat. The thing about being overweight is that in most cases what you're doing is you're eating foods that are dense in calories but not very satiating. So what happens is you continue to eat high carb or high sugar foods very low in fiber content, high in fat content, low in protein. And what happens is that your calories mount up, but you continue to be hungry throughout the day. Now, what you want to do with this is sort of flip it around. You want to focus on getting that same quantity of food, but making sure that the calorie content is very low. For this, vegetables and salads are going to be your best friend. The best part about vegetables and a great benefit to it is that it's so low in calories that you can mess around with the flavoring. You can add seasonings, some sauces which are decently low in calories, and just flavor it to how you like it, and it will still be very minimal in calories. Even adding a little bit of oil won't do much harm. So I recommend you build all your meals and snacks around these. It's a very simple concept, but the impact it has on your progress is massive, because simply adding more volume to your plate with every meal that you have is just a much better mental boost, and it will also keep you very satisfied and your hunger levels in check. And this leads me on to my third point, which is to always have your meals planned out. And this applies to you if you always cook your food, and if you're not really used to cooking healthier meals or cooking vegetables, or you don't really know what to do with them. So what I'd recommend is look up some recipes, see what you like. The good thing about recipe books and online recipes is these days it tells you how long it takes to cook a meal, and on top of that, even most of the time it shows you how much calories each serving will be. And once you've planned this, make sure you've written everything down, so when you go to the supermarket you know exactly what you're getting, because you don't really want to end up going there and just not having a plan in your head about what you're going to buy, how you're going to flavor your food, and you just end up really overwhelmed by the whole decision making process and end up basically not buying anything and leaving it for the next day. And what will happen is you'll just keep repeating the same cycle. Now, my last point is my favorite, because I really want this to hit home and I want you guys to really think about this. That is to do with willpower. Here's the thing, it's overrated. We all have willpower in certain aspects of life that others don't, and others have it in some aspects that we wish we would have it in ours, but it just simply doesn't work out that way. And just trying to fight it and not trying to change your systems or your behaviors to move around it is a case of self-sabotage in a way. You're almost fighting a losing battle every day, or every single time you try and fight something that you failed on trying to do all the time. Now, in the context of this video, it applies obviously to buying or being tempted into consuming foods that you know you shouldn't really be consuming at that moment in time. Now, this doesn't mean at all that you shouldn't buy stuff or eat something that you enjoy. That is not my point at all. But my point is simply, don't add temptation where it's unnecessary. So this is what I mean. If you really feel like eating something, or you're getting a craving for something, then by all means eat it. But what you want to do is buy it for that one time only. You want to avoid this whole filling your cabinet full of junk because you're only going to eat it when you get that craving. This is almost never the case, because as long as it's there, you're always going to have that craving, you're always going to have that temptation. So you're just setting yourself up for failure. So there's two ways you can go about this. One way is just to simply buy something that you're going to eat on that day or the next day, and just eat it and leave nothing for the next day or for the next week. The second way is, if you're going to be buying something that you're meant to eat as dessert at the end of every day, buy something that's only meant to last you for that week, but consider that as your only option. And what I mean is, if you bought something for the week but you ended up having it within 2 or 3 days, then that's it. So you can't buy anything else for the next 4 days or 3 days of the week that's left. Even if you are craving on the 4th day, on a Friday or Saturday, Sunday, you have nothing there to eat. So you've already eliminated it from going worse. But even though that's the option, I would stick to just buy something for that day. Just don't buy anything for a week. If you really want to treat yourself and you're really having a craving, just buy something and consume it. But just don't go out and buy yourself stuff in advance. You see, by people telling you or you telling yourself that you can't have certain foods in your house because you have weak willpower in this circumstance is not a bad thing, and you shouldn't take it as a negative, because the more you think that way, the more damaging it will be. But if you instead see it in a different light and see it as you understanding yourself and you knowing how you're going to behave, so you're working around this and working around something which helps you progress, it will put you in a much more better mental state. Just building these systems and adapting to them is a big win. Before I end this video, I want you guys to just understand one thing. The goal is not to live like robots, eating healthy 24/7, to completely avoid socializing and going out to restaurants and drinking and simply just enjoying yourself. It's to simply just build better systems and change your habits so that when you go out, when you do treat yourself, you just feel much more better about everything that you do. Now, you can certainly enjoy your life without exercising and without eating healthy, but that's not why you're watching this video. You're watching this video because you want the best of both. You want to hit that balance. And this balance accounts for everything. So feeling guilty isn't really part of the process unless you keep making the same mistakes and you just keep repeating them all the time and not realizing what you're doing. The whole point is to understand where you're making the mistakes. And the best way you can do that is by just creating these systems to help you understand and reflect and go back and see where you went wrong and move on from that. So that concludes this video, guys. If you guys enjoyed this, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you continue to watch my content and you like what you genuinely see, then consider subscribing so you don't miss any other videos in the future. Also, if you have any questions relating to this video or anything you might want to hear about in the future, please drop a comment below, and I'll see you guys next week.